Yes, yes. Welcome all to the Daily Huddle. My name is Steele Greye, and I am your host for today. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. It's so great to have you here. If you've never seen me before, I'm just going to give you a short Dun and Bradstreet about myself. I'm a musician. I'm an engager. I'm an artist. I've traveled the world doing what I love to do. I own a company called Ricochet Worldwide Play. I'm in New York City for most of my life, and I'm born here as well. And I'm just so happy to be a host on the Daily Huddle for multiple reasons. And I'm glad that you're here with us. I feel like it's somebody's first time today. So speaking to you specifically, welcome to the family. So on my solo journey today here on the Daily Huddle, the topic that I've chosen to speak about is can the words we use change our health? I'm telling you with much conviction that I've studied this for years. And before I go forward, no, I am not a doctor or a practitioner. I'm just a highly vibrational human being that studies voraciously about the human mind, the human condition, and the human heart. Books are all around me. If I spun this camera around, they're everywhere, right? So I'm well versed in this, but if anything that I say triggers you or pushes you in another direction, please go and research it or speak with your personal therapist. Let me say that ahead of time because I'm going to touch on some areas. So in my voracious and copious research, I've fallen upon a book that I want to make reference to today that kind of puts me in the framework of the conversation, right? The book is called Words Can Change Your Brain by Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Waldman. It's kind of a fulcrum of my conversation specifically and on purpose, right? Quite intentionally. And what I find really fascinating is that the more that I do research on this topic, the more things I find out that are just mind-blowing to me, right? So interestingly enough, and I'll throw a few statistics out and so on and so forth, but I began the research, and one of the things that came right out, which we probably all know so much already, is that a specific chemicals like oxytocin arrive in our brain when we are complimented, or when someone rubs our back, or when someone does something just for us and lets us know this is specifically for you. Thank you. We get like this tingly sensation, like this thing that happens in our body, right? We know that. Obviously, that produces this particular emotion, this particular flow in our body. But the other side of that is when we're met with something negative, that triggers or can trigger the amygdala, which perceives danger, right? Through anger. Think about the play of those words, anger and danger. If you put the D on the end of anger, it becomes danger. Isn't that interesting? So I put some notes here, and I was talking really in my brain to myself about different things. And I thought about the things that we all encounter, right? Exposure to negative people, exposure to positive people. Do you ever think about, we'll do a quick exercise right now. In your mind, I don't know what you're thinking. I'm just going to lead you into it. Think of a person that you know, and every time you see them, hear them, or are with them for a long period of time, excuse me, you're so relaxed and so happy, you can't even explain it. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see so-and-so because I'm so happy around them. If you sit with that for a second, honestly speaking, it creates a chemical reaction in your body, right? So as I'm doing this study on different things and so on and so forth, specifically in this book, Words Can Change Your Brain, there were three kind of bullet points or things that it discussed that I want to kind of open up so we can get to this point that I'm getting to about our health. So the 3 bullet points are: we respond to words at a visceral autonomic level, number one. Number two, we can use language to our advantage. And number three, we can build skills to endure negative words from others. This is the one that affected me because when we 100% assume that certain people are going to be a certain way when we see them, right? It's like a no-brainer. You've already created a specific vibe, right, in someone's life, and you see them, and your brain prepares for the onslaught, right? You know they're going to say something that's going to affect you. And I wish it wasn't that way, but it is so much that way with most people, right? So you say, this is a sentence that I wanted to read to you because I think it's just fascinating. In the first point that I brought up about responding to words at a visceral autonomic level, it says, over time, our frontal lobes, a brain region responsible for high-level tasks such as planning and decision-making, grow larger to support critical thought, reasoning, language, and social behavior. However, they're connected with the more evolutionary ancient structures that support survival, such as the amygdala. So, as you're saying, or as I'm reading these words, if you're saying to yourself, okay, I have a connection with that. For example, if you were getting an MRI and they were going to look at your brain, and right before you went into the MRI, you had an argument with your loved one, do you realize that it only takes seconds for your body to change, where if something's happening or the hormones start to get riled up, they immediately send information through the bloodstream? Isn't that fascinating? Seconds, not minutes, seconds. So that was part of the first point. The second one, we can use language to our advantage. I read this and I was like, wow, this is very interesting. The same part of the brain that deals with language or wants to understand language is also the same part of the brain that pushes out information to our bodily signals or our functions. Can you imagine that? Those of you who speak other languages, you probably know this, but the words that we're using in other languages, like for example, if I'm speaking in Italian, most people don't know that I speak Italian quite well. If I say to you right now, straight up in the head, hey, what's going on? How are you? That's a specific way if I say it, right? If I'm speaking in Italian and I say, come stai? Ma come stai? Italians speak with their hands and they're always moving it around, this and that, whatever. That affects me right away, right? All this, oh, come no, ma come, all this with their hands, it puts me in a different state. It's absolutely amazing. To this day, it puts me in a different state. So what am I getting at? I'm getting at this vibe or this sensitivity that we have where the positive and the negative things, because as we know, we're all rooted in some sort of duality, we start to create a habit, right? And this habit starts to create other things, whether it's you're upset about finances, relationships, stuff at the job, your kids, your pets, your home. The mind does not distinguish with what kind of stress. It just treats it as stress, right? Isn't that interesting? Now, when you feel your body move into a different place, like for example, I assume or I consider myself a pretty positive person, right? You could show me something completely negative and I can see something positive in it. But I work on that every day. And you know when I know I'm in trouble? When I see something negative right away, I get a tingle in my chest. I start to feel a certain way. I want to sit down. I want to have a glass of water. Case in point, I'm going to give you a quick example. A couple of days ago, I was having a conversation with somebody and they used the N-word so frequently that it affected me at a visceral level. I'm not a particular advocate of the N-word. I don't use it at all. If you know me, you know I don't use that word at all. But I have friends who use it all the time. Why does that word affect me? Maybe when it came to me as a child, it was negative. It was negative based. It came from a negative individual. I'm not really sure. I'm telling you, I cannot make this up. When I hear the word, I get like a little tick in my chest and I start to feel some sort of anxiety. And then I switch it by changing the topic or going to another place, or on a good day, I may ask the person, why do you use that word so much? That's just a personal thing for me, right? So as we go on through this journey, and it says here, and I wanted to read this because I think it's really important. It says, start paying attention to the words that you use frequently and write them down or record them on the phone. For example, maybe you use words like, I have to buy a gift for my friend, or that's expensive. The reframing of the words, considering I get to get a gift, or instead of saying I have to. It's a mind shift, right? Or aren't I lucky to be able to do this for my friend? You can also replace words like cheap with economical or expensive or premium. Like, for example, I don't think I've ever said this on the huddle. You hear me say grand day or grand rising. Believe it or not, I love the word grand. Always loved the word grand. My father used to use that word when I was a young boy all the time. Wow, isn't this a grand day? Or he used to say, oh, that's a grand, whatever. He would always be able to put the word there. And then one day someone said it in a particular way, and I've been using it ever since then. It gives me fluidity. It makes me breathe differently when I say grand day. And to some people, it throws them completely off when I say it. They go, grand day? Wow, never heard that before. Right? And they go into another place with it. My point is that we already have things inside of us that are creating this emotional state, which can go to another level. Now, I know a few people, obviously, I will not name them on this particular presentation. I feel like they're rooted in aggression. They came from aggression, they deal with aggression, they live with aggression. When aggression meets the other side, whatever we want to call that, positivity, lightness, openness, many times it fights for its position. Have you ever noticed that? You're around people, they say, oh, that sucks. I don't like that. Oh, that's a piece of crap or whatever. Happened to me again the other day. I was talking to somebody and they said, well, that's stupid. Who would want that? And I said, okay, if you think it's stupid, that's great. Some people may want it. Obviously, it's being sold. And we got into this whole conversation. And then I said to myself, what are you doing? Why are you fighting for your happiness in this conversation? Just be happy and be clear about how you feel. It affected me. It affected me on a visceral level, and I had to let it go. Now imagine, excuse me, a lifetime of fighting through the negativity and what that does to the body. It can produce higher levels of blood pressure. It can produce chronic depression, and it can also produce the diseases that we don't want to talk about, right? Like the C word. I call it the C word. I don't mean Chase. I mean cancer. It is proven that many of the most highly recognizable cancer diagnoses have come from stress. Think about that. Now, where we're going to go with that, we can go a lot of places with that. And again, I'm not a doctor, but through extensive research, I've seen that, man, if we could just stress less, we could change our whole physical breakdown. It's amazing. In the section that I told you about, we talk about building up skills to endure negative words from others. Listen, I've experienced this even recently, and this concept of thinking about a time in a distant past where someone hurt you or made you mad, and it asked in this article to imagine that person walking up to you right now and saying that hurtful thing again and again. Isn't it incredible how we can pull that emotion right up right now? Like, and it just affects us physically. I think it is fascinating, really fascinating. You might be asking yourself as I'm putting all this information out to you, but what's the answer? How do we change this so that we can have better health? And the best way that I know how to communicate this to everyone is through small changes, minute changes in your environment, who you're hanging out with, what you're eating, who you're connecting with or telling your dreams to, so on and so forth. I'm just amazed at the little teeny steps that we miss that produce this kind of, like I said, chronic stress in us. I definitely have experienced it, and I work on it still to this day. Still to this very day, I guarantee you, I am reading, I am writing, I'm looking into things that push us in that other direction. And by the way, and I wanted to say this, and then I'm going to take this question. I read this and I said, I'm going to write this down. It says, raising your voice or even just your eyebrow can affect what's going on inside other people's body. Isn't that fascinating? We're talking heart rate and chemicals that are directly carried into the bloodstream that create a whole nother vibe or a whole nother atmosphere simply because you saw a facial expression. Think about that. So um, then we become responsible for a lot of things that are happening around us. And I don't say that in a very direct way. I'm just saying, as we are careful with what we're doing, we may be able to affect someone in such a bigger, higher, more vibrational level than we think by just something minute, a small change. Um, I'm just fascinated by that. Dr. Davis would love for you to chime in.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chase. I this is an interesting topic, and I wanted to get your opinion about something,
Yeah.
Chase, since you've been doing a lot of reading on this, and I haven't. But when you said how words can be healing to our minds and our bodies, and then I thought about something that affects me. That's racism.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Ah, racism.
from
Yeah.
what Yeah. So what I immediately thought about was something I heard in my house and in my family constantly as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the phrase, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. And I thought to myself,
Love it.
because a lot of us in our family are dark brown, like coffee. So we would always tell each other, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, might that, even though we may not have been using the words that you're talking about or articulating it in the way you're saying, might that have been like a type of healing salve to the racism we were experiencing, and might in some ways it um had a benefit, like that little phrase, that little positive phrase, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, a benefit for us, almost like a healing salve against the negativity of racism. I'm just pondering, I don't know, but it just sounds interesting and connects in my mind.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I can only give you my perspective on that. And what I immediately felt when you said that was in our childhood, we all have verbal anchors that we've heard, and they have maybe navigated us through another situation, right? Like another a very similar sentence that affects people is I forget who just said this recently. Uh, Dick Gregory or somebody like said that. He said, "Don't tell your children you have to work twice as hard because you're black or you're a minority. That's a terrible thing to tell them." And I was like, "Wow, I've heard that so much, not from my own mother and father specifically, but in that case, coupled with what you said, I just think it's an anchor. I think things that are said, I also believe must be experienced, if you follow me. So if someone says something to you, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Are we talking about berries? Are we talking about people? Are we talking about situations? I believe you have to experience the words and what comes from the sensations, and then make your decision. That's what I believe. That's how I live my life.
So I guess what I'm thinking when you say that is the words, but then clearly in we were talking about people, but the words coupled with love, is that what you're saying? Like linking the words with action or something?
So when you heard that expression, did you feel you needed to go out and have an experience to confirm that in your mind?
Well, when I was younger, when I heard that expression, usually, well, it was always said in a loving way, in a
Right,
sweet way.
right,
Um, Oftentimes it was followed by a hug
right,
or a kiss,
right.
So I associated it And the idea of, oh, well, people are acting negative about Black people, but I'm really sweet. you know,
I'm really sweet.
so
I like that.
um yeah, but yeah, I think this is an interesting topic. I thank you for
Thank
bringing
you.
it up, and I'm going to try to find the book.
Yeah, the book is phenomenal. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. CC with the hat. I like it.
Hey everyone. This is a wonderful topic because I do love positive words and I realize that I'm full of words. And whatever experience that I have, that I have been able to translate into feelings from words is something from the past. But what
Mm,
I have learned as I have grown is that, a positive word is encouragement. And
yeah.
that I do know that God always reveals something to me as I dissect and learn what words means. And
Mm,
the intention behind a person who speaks positive words is what really makes the words powerful. And I
right.
don't have to experience that person's translation of their words because it's their experience. I don't have to receive their experience of the word. What I can do is keep moving forward and thinking positive and declare positive words every day in spite of all the other nonsense that's going on or the good things that's going on. So thank you so much for this subject because it's the intention that we all
Oh,
experience positivity. Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? We had a guest on here quite a while ago. Her name was Chessa. She's a great friend of mine. I'll bring her back on soon. Chessa has 10 physical things going on with her. Yet these positive words that she says keep her so alive and vibrant. It is incredible. And just to give a shout out to Cece, whenever I speak to Cece, that first sentence that we have on the phone is so powerful and it does affect me. It makes my chest tingle. Cece's like, grand day, beautiful, talented Black man of possibility and strength. I'm like, wow. Like, I'm just like, incredible. We have that choice to infuse these incredible words and sensations into other human beings. It's a circular intention. We benefit from it as well. And I just believe it's a practice. We can heal each other through this positive, intentional, fluid way of communicating. And that's really one of the best. That's one of the things I wanted to bring to the fold today. For me personally, I just, man, there's a couple people in my life right now. I just want them to land their plane and come have a meal with me and relax. They're just, like that. I'm like, wow, like, okay, I'm not you. You're going through some stuff, you're struggling, but oh my gosh, please just take my hand and relax with me. Let's go walk in the park. Let's go have a meal. Let's go see your mom. Let's go. Like, I would love to do that with 4 people that are coming in my head right now. Right. So, indeed, what we do mentally can turn into physical or can turn into neurological and then can turn into, I mean, it's really true. This is not like hocus pocus that I'm talking about. This is real stuff. And I put these notes down in different ways. I have many more notes than we have time, but I'm amazed at this and how people don't realize that this is what we're all going through. This is what really can happen. Rashida.
Grand Rising, my dear brother King. How are thou? Amazing, amazing. You let me able to fill my bucket with nuggets.
I
It's
like that.
amazing.
I like
And
that.
the thing that I always says to people says, why are you stressing? You are damaging your liver, your kidney, your heart, your cells. Leave it alone. If you cannot fix, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And if it's broken,
Right.
guess what? and you cannot fix it, leave it alone. And I will say to you, and I say to everyone, stop stressing.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's going to be what it's going to be. You cannot change it, leave it alone. Thank you so much, my dear brother. I am so delighted to be part of our setting and our growing. I
Excellent.
loved it. I
I
loved
love it
it.
too. I love it
Thank
too.
you so much. Thank you so much. I
And
appreciate you at tons and more. Take care.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you. And Rashida is one of the most, the clearest examples in my personal life of me picking up that phone and I just feel a flood of light coming through. It relaxes me. I had a conversation with her yesterday about a topic that was very emotional for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel really so much better. And just to give you a nugget of that conversation that connects to this, you know what? I believe that when we are trying to be something else that we're not, that is one of the hugest, most colossal reasons why we have stress. If you walk into a room and everybody's eating meat and you're a vegetarian, be vegetarian. If you messed up in front of some people and oh, I messed up, mess up. You know, if you can't afford to do this and somebody tell them, right at this time, it's just like that other thing where we're trying to be something else and please other people, that causes so much stress right to our health, right to our health. We're using fake words, we're saying fake things. That's not the way to do it. I'm telling you, this is just a clear suggestion. Everyone's going to do what they want to do, but authenticity, top of the list, right? This is the thing that we're talking about here in the backfield, right? Choosing your words properly, creating more health in your body. And if you can't choose your words properly, meditate, right? Meditate. Meditation is one of the fastest, and it doesn't have to be fast, or clearest vehicles to connect with consciousness. So you can check your own self in that meditative state. That's what I love. I think I wrote something about that actually. I was thinking about it as I am a meditator, and I was like, I like that. I wrote Andrew Weil, who was more popular in the 80s, but he's like 78 years old. He's in great shape. He said, meditators have changed physical structures in the brain, right? The breath is a safe place to have your consciousness. So if you meditate more, you're kind of marinating in this magical consciousness. And I honestly believe that not too many people can mess with you if you're a meditator. Not for too long. I honestly believe that. I'm like, well, you see some people that are like, yeah, that's cool. And they just walk away. You're like, you're not mad? No, what are we talking about? Like, it doesn't even hit them anymore. And I honestly will say, when I was meditating more than I am now, certain things that I'm challenged with right now would not have bothered me. So now I'm moving into a calmer state because I care about my organs. I have a lot of stuff to do, and I know you all do too. So that's why I wanted to bring this topic up today, because there's been some things trying to get into my infrastructure, and I'm like, okay, water, meditation, reading, nature, and let's not forget that as I end, nature. You've spoken to me, I've spoken to you before about tree hugging, about being in nature. A simple walk in nature can affect the entire system in the body. A simple walk in nature. And what would I be doing while I'm walking in nature? Speaking the words. This is beautiful. I'm grateful for nature. I'm powerful. I'm so fortunate to be alive. Isn't Central Park amazing? I say those things. I really do. I'm not making it up. So that changes my physiology. It does all the time. Everything about it changes everything. So I wanted to make sure that this topic reached everyone. And again, I have so much more to say. I think I'll bring the topic up again. Thank you, Kurt, for the link. I'm going to check that out. Optimus startup. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Wow, I wish we had another 30 minutes, right, for this topic. I have so much more that I want to say. I'm going to do a part 2 on this, I think, coming up in a little while. I like to do these solo presentations every now and then just to kind of get inside some stuff that we don't normally talk about. Does anyone else anything else to say before we go? Anything quick? Any last words? Okay, great. Wonderful, wonderful. That's a nice flower, Shiva. I like that whole thing you got going on there. That's really nice.
Uh, Florence, I'm sorry. I would just
Yes.
like to say that
Yes.
recently I saw on, I think it's Channel 6, that words affect your DNA. They showed you science that proved that they have DNA that appears to be dead, and then the two sets they speak positively to one set of DNA, and they actually showed you light. It's a lighting up, and then they
Right.
spoke negatively and put negative energy into the other set, and it was dying.
Mhm.
And so this is really a very, very interesting topic.
It's all truth. I believe every second of it. I believe every second of it. And before I go, when you think about your DNA from who you came from, when I look at my mother, I look at my father, I remember stuff they said to me when I was really little, and I still have it in my head. They planted it, and it's in my chest every day. That's dangerous and great if you think about it, because not everybody had those good memories from when they were young, and they're still fighting them. So everybody, please just be careful with your words, right? Everybody's going through some stuff, and the words matter. They really matter, right? They can change things. So, as always, we leave with our tenets of the day. Please live out loud. Love stronger than you think you should love. Give much more than you're giving now. Become lighter, right? Move the body. Move it left, right, up, down. Listen to some Afro beats. You don't have to be the best dancer. Just move it anyway, right? Eat mostly plant-based, right? Give it a shot. If you love meat, you're like, forget about that. I'm eating meat. 1 day, 2 days, eat just plant-based. Ask yourself how you feel after that, right? As always, please stress less. We know about that. We just talked about that. Incredible. Make sure you get some sleep, some more sleep. If you're getting 4, work on 6. If you're getting 6, work on 8. Plan to sleep more. It's a big thing. It's very huge. And lastly, of course, please check yourself before you wreck yourself. Ask the questions and challenge your assumptions. Have a spectacular day being you, because there's only you, and there'll never be another you.
Great topic, Chase. Great, beautiful. Thank you,
See you
Sam.
next time.
Excellent job.
Thank you. This is amazing. Thank you.